Hi guys, Revelation chapter 17, let's get started. So I do want to point out that this is not in order like a lot of the other chapters in Revelation, okay? This does not come right after the second vial is opened, after Jesus' second coming. It's not when this happens, and we will explain it as we go along. Okay, verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay, so one of the angels is telling John, hey, let me show you the judgment of the world, okay? This great whore sitting on many waters. The many waters is all the nations and tongues and people. We're going to talk about that in verse 15, because that's really when it points out and tells you exactly what that means. But this woman, she is basically the world view, okay? It is everything that we are forced to go along with that is against our Christian view, okay? It's what the world says is okay, but we know it isn't. It is the worldly lifestyle. Verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So the kings of the earth, as well as the inhabitants of the earth. Now, every time in the Bible in Revelation where it says inhabitants of the earth, it is not talking about Christians. It is talking about the people that are left behind after the rapture, the ones that will be here to have this wrath poured out, okay? This judgment of the world. So the kings of the earth, as well as the inhabitants of the earth, they've fallen for it. They've fallen for her lies. Her lies that says this is okay when we're the ones sitting there with our Bibles going, but it isn't. It isn't okay. Verses 3 to 5. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was written the name, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Okay, so John is in the spirit, okay? So that means this is a vision. It's not literal. There's not actually going to be a woman riding around on a beast, okay? It's a figurative thing that he's looking at, and the angel is going to explain it to us in a minute. But this woman is the world, not the literal earth, but the world. The one that God says you can't love the world and love God. It's that world, okay? It's the world view. It's what we've become as a people. And it is carried on the back of Satan, because he is the mastermind behind it all of deceiving us into thinking that it's okay. Babylon, that is written on her, is the world. It is not the ancient city Babylon that doesn't exist anymore. It is what the world has become. They have become Babylon, okay? Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So she has blood on her hands from the persecution of Christians and from martyrs. Verse 7. And the angel said to me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which had the 7 heads and 10 horns. The angel was telling John, you don't have to wonder about what that means. I'm going to tell you what that means. So let's get into that. Verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life, from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. Okay, that's a lot to unpack right there. So what I would like to do is read it to you in the original Greek, but English of the original Greek, because obviously I can't speak or pronounce Greek. So this is what it actually is saying in Greek. It puts it into a little bit better of a perspective. And it says, the beast that you saw was, and Nod is about to come up out of the abyss and into destruction go. And will wonder those dwelling on the earth, whose not our written name in the book of life from foundation of the world, seeing the beast which was, and not is, and yet will be. So we're going to talk more about the is and was not and yet will be in verse 11. But this beast is the Antichrist, okay? It says that those who live on the earth dwellers, again, when Revelation says earth dwellers, it's never talking about Christians, but those who dwell on the earth will wonder or admire him. It also clarifies in this verse who those earth dwellers are, who those living on the earth are. It says those who live on the earth whose names are not written in the book of life. Again, the Bible is telling us who's on the earth during this time, and those are the unsaved people, the ones who are not written in the book of life. Verse 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Okay, this woman is the world. Remember, not the earth, but the world view. What is the word I'm looking for? The lifestyle of the world, okay, and all its values. She's sitting on 7 mountains. That is all 7 continents. All of them are corrupted by her. Every single one. There's not a continent on this earth that hasn't been invaded by the worldview. Verse 10. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. So this is saying there are 7 kings, okay? I don't know that means an actual one-man king. I don't know that means a reign of kings. I don't know that means like a world power or a country. I know that the Bible says there are 7 kings, okay? At the point in this timeline, this is going to be before the rapture, before the tribulation, and we're going to get to that in a minute, and I'll tell you why I know that. This is before that. So at this point in the timeline that John is seeing, 5 of the kings have already fallen. They've already passed. The number 6 king is currently reigning, and the number 7 at this point hasn't come yet, okay? When he comes into power, it says he will be there only for a short time. The number 7. Why is he only going to be there for a short time? Let's look at verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. Okay. There are 7 kings throughout a span of time. The Antichrist becomes the 8th. The Bible just said there were 7, but the Antichrist is the 8th. But he is actually one of the 7. That's what this verse is saying. Let's read that again. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is one of the 7. Okay, so he isn't someone from a long time ago. He's not one of the first 5 that were dead. He's not the 6th one. Okay, it's not someone from a long time ago that's going to come back to life and reign again. It's not what this is saying. This is saying he is number 7. He is number 7. And he is only in power for a short time as the number 7. Why? Because he's going to have that fatal wound. If you look back where we talked about chapter 13, or you go back and read it, he's going to have a fatal wound to his head. Fatal means literally dead. People are going to think he's dead. He's probably actually going to be dead. But then will be resurrected by the power that is given to Satan at this time to make people believe that he is God. That's the plan, to make people worship him. That's what it's saying. He was, and he isn't yet, but he's gonna be. Also at the end of that verse, it says he goeth into perdition. That's hell, y'all. God is going ahead and telling us this is where he's gonna be. He's gonna go into Perdition is translated as destruction or eternal misery in hell. That's where this beast, this Antichrist, is going to end up. He's going to end up in hell. Verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. This verse right here is why I know this chapter is before the tribulation starts. Okay? There are 10 kings. We talked about them in chapter 13 that are going to reign with the Antichrist during this 7-year tribulation. Okay? Ultimately, he has all the power over them, but they will reign under him as these 10 kings. Right now in this timeline, in this chapter, they have no power yet. That's what this verse says. But they will come to power with the Antichrist for 1 hour. We've talked about this 1 hour statement back in chapter 3 and in chapter 8. 1 hour is referring to these 7 years. The 7-year period, Jesus continuously refers to it as 1 hour. This verse is saying they will have power for 1 hour with the Antichrist. That means during this timeline in this chapter, that 1 hour hasn't started yet. Okay? Let's read 13 and 14. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So, these 10 kings, they're going to side with the Antichrist. It says they come into one mind and one accord, how we should be together with God. This is how they come together with the Antichrist. Okay? It says they will war with God. And they will lose. And it says they that are with him, which is Jesus, the Lamb, the King of Kings, right? They that are with him, we talked about this just in the last chapter. Back in Zechariah 14:5, it says that when Jesus steps foot back on this earth to fight, this war that they are wanting with God, the saints are going to come back with him. In this verse, it's telling us the ones that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. These are the Christians. We are going to come back with Jesus to fight this battle that won't really even be a battle, but we will be with him for it. Verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, and peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this is why I know that the waters meant all the people and nations and tongues. Okay. Her beliefs, or these beliefs, have taken root all over the world. It's not just America. It's every nation, every tongue, all the people, all over the world. That's where it is. 16 and 17. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, and to the words of God should be fulfilled. Okay, these kings are going to come to hate the world. It has to be that way. Because God said it has to be that way. They're going to unite with the beast. God makes it this way to fulfill his will. They will unite with the beast. They will hand over their kingdoms, their religions, their way of life will all be handed over to the Antichrist during this time. That is why we will have the one world government, the one world religion. I say we, but I'm not going to be here then. So y'all, I guess. But there will be the one religion. The one religion would be to worship the Antichrist, of course. Worship the beast. It said that God puts this in their will, in their spirit, because they have to do what God wants done in order to fulfill his will and his wishes. Let's read verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. This woman is the great city, which is Babylon, right? We're going to talk about her a lot more in chapter 18. But again, it is the world. It is not the ancient city Babylon that's all of a sudden going to come back into power. No. All the beliefs and the things that Babylon stood for, that's what the world is now. There isn't a city right now called Babylon that God is going to take his wrath out on. That ancient city Babylon has spread all over the whole world, every continent, every nation, every tongue across the waters, and it is the world.